everybody, welcome back. Today I think I'm going to take a look at one of the old video game magazines I have, and I don't have a lot, but this one's kind of unique, and I don't know if a lot of people have ever heard of this, because I'd never heard of it, and I saw it online years ago, and I thought I'd take a look through it, and I'm going to do my best to keep this centered and in focus. And I don't just mean visually in focus, but, you know, mentally. So you can see here, it's called Creative Computing, Video and Arcade Games, Volume 1, Number 2. So I don't know how many of these there were. I guess I'd have to really look it up and research it. Maybe I'll drop a little note down in there about it. So let's take a look. How to Win at Q*bert, River Raids. This is going to be a lot of Atari stuff, but the Apple was out, obviously. TRS-80, Color Computer. I mean, this covers a lot of stuff. Covers computers and video games, so we'll just start right at the beginning. Some neat stuff here. See, I got a little note up here, 7683. Richards? Yeah, Richards. Okay, so is Richards a last name or a first name? Well, either way, thanks, Richard. And we'll be taking a look through this and seeing if we can, you know, find anything interesting. Hopefully that's gonna look good as we continue to flip through these. And I got my little helper here in case I need to hold a page down once in a while, so maybe I'll just drop him down here. So what do we got here first? We got a Spectra Video arcade stick called the Quick Shot. It's kind of neat. And here we have, what is this? Spectra Video personal computer. I mean, is this from the UK? No, look, this is New York stuff. Is anyone familiar with this? It had a joystick built in. I always thought that was a great idea. Either a D-pad or a joystick. Maybe a little molding under there where you could hold on. All right, so what are we going to go through? We got some editorials, games for the year stuff, interviews, feedback, new arcade games. Boy, there's a lot. I mean, look, these guys covered a lot of stuff. I'm guessing this magazine failed. They covered pinball. I mean, they were doing it all. So I'd like to look up more about this and see if there's any others. But I mean, that cover is just fantastic. I mean, that's something you want to frame almost. Lots of joysticks already. Classic graphics for back then. All hand-drawn, you know. Lots of hand-drawn stuff. Even this stuff. I mean, you look at this and it looks pretty realistic, but clearly this is drawn by an artist. So, editorial, what's he talking about? He's mentioning mastering PacMan, which was a big thing back then. People were trying to get all the way to the kill screen. Miner 49er, Defender, River Raid, Atari games. Just talking about a lot of stuff. Hopefully you guys can see that good, and you know, you can freeze on these pages and take a look and just read through whatever you want. But we're going to keep moving on here. Tronics. Gold Fever, Deadly Strike, and Scorpion. There's 3 games. I've looked through this years ago, but I have no idea what these games are. I'll maybe drop some images of them if I can find some gameplay or some still frames of them. And who are they making these for? Does it even say? 40 suggested retail, $40.83. I think everything's pretty much doubled. The dollar's been devalued, and it's continuing. But I think a game like that back then, you know how limited games were back then, and they weren't very advanced or fancy. So you're paying $80 just for a game that wasn't that good. So you wanted to make the most out of it, that's for sure. All right, looks like we're still in frame pretty good here. All right, Not Since Ali versus Frazier. So this is about a head-to-head. Master of Blackjack, Ken Ooston. Let's see if I can get up to, in this corner, David H. Ahl, founder, publisher, editor-in-chief of Creative Computing Magazine. Okay, just a couple of gamers here, back in the day, battling it out for I don't know what. Oh, but they got them in the arcade here, playing PacMan. Zaxxon. On a Vectrex, can you guys see that? Oh, they were playing on a Vectrex against each other. But the Vectrex, we'd never seen it around here. I mean, I'm up in Maine, and from Lewiston originally. I don't remember ever seeing the Vectrex, and it would have been in a Sears. And at the time, I was living behind the mall, which had Sears in it. And I would, walking home from school, I'd pop in there if it was a cold day to warm up on the way. I mean, it was only about a, 10-minute walk. But, halfway through on a real nasty day, I'd just pop in there and hang out for a little bit and walk through the game section. Okay, so now we're talking here. Take any one of these games for only $4.99. So this must have been a mail away. Columbia. Was this the Columbia Video Game Club? Oh my gosh, I didn't know they had that. I thought I was one that did the record club. I did it when the CD clubs came out too, probably in the early 90s. So they're just gaming against each other. Look at these games though. Donkey Kong, Gore, Carnival. These all look like Atari, but I mean, they could have been out for anything at the time. Trying to see if it even says, I mean, how do you know? There's got to be something on here that tells you what. Yeah, for the Atari system. Okay. Take any one of these, and then you probably had to buy how many after that? Approximately 6 weeks, 9 times a year, you'll receive the game magazine from them, which I must have been just great to see that, or someone must have some of those. Someone must have these Columbia flyers or things where you could buy more. Should you quit your day job? Game designers, they're interviewing game designers. Steve Cartwright, I've heard of. Carol Shaw, yep. Alan Miller, sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm sure he's done something amazing. We got tennis, barnstorming, the future of the VCS. Well, it was pretty much dead by then. I mean, the video game crash in America was about to occur because of the flood of crappy games. But I could still buy games as a 11 or 12-year-old because you could go into KB Toy. We didn't have Toys R Us close, so the mall across town or some of the stores locally, they would be selling games on clearance. Look at all these high scores and television games. Here's pretty much what they're going to cover. You got Coin Op, Baby PacMan. That was a pinball hybrid. Jungle Hunt, Joust, Centipede, Popeye, Atari 800 computers, 400, 800, Apple II games, Ataris and television, ColecoVision games, Keystone Capers, one of my favorites. Probably sits in the top 5, and that's mostly because we had it and I played it a lot when I was younger. You could only get so far, but that's okay because you'd play for 15, 20 minutes, and that'd be that. Mappy. I love Mappy in the arcade. Mappy and Flicky. I'm surprised that Mappy was out this early. It doesn't feel to me like it's a game. Is this what is... This would have been when it's coming out in the arcades. The Ultimate Cat and Mouse game. Wow, okay. Interesting to know. So we're going into the arcade section. For your Mappy t-shirt, $5 plus shipping and handling. If you're outside the U.S., add $1. Imagine that. Someone out there must have a Mappy t-shirt. Or it's tucked away in some basement or something. I don't know. Attic. Bagman. I remember the first time I played Bagman. Never saw it in the arcades, but it's when MAME started coming around. This was one of the early things that MAME could emulate. But look at that. Bagman, Congo Bongo. Sega's answer to Donkey Kong, kind of. And here we go. Here's big stuff. They're talking about Dragon's Lair. Amazing. What a great time to be in the arcades. I mean, the early 80s were something else. Things were changing so quick. And like I said, I wasn't impacted by this, whatever they want to call it, this crash. I was in the arcades playing, still playing, and Nintendo's starting to come out more and more. Here's the first Mario Brothers. Wow, this thing's got lots. Journey, you played that game. It was a you play as each character. They were digitized, and there was a tape that would play inside of it when you got to the bonus stage, and you were a bouncer blocking the guys. That was a fun game, boy. I was able to hang out in the arcades quite a bit. You know, I could just go in there, not even spend a penny, and just watch. Joust, Pinball, Double Ender, weird. Weird. What is this? It has Zookeeper. I don't know what Mad Planets are. Anyone let me know if you've ever heard of Mad Planets or played it? Look at this. Discover Gold Mine Pleasures with Miner 49er. I never liked this game, but it was out on everything. I mean, look at this. Every system they had a version of. I wonder how much they made. I wonder how much. Some people love it. Look at this. Here's the guide to play Q*bert. I never knew. Didn't hate Q*bert, didn't love it, but I'd play it, you know, because you could make a quarter last about 10, 15 minutes if you were just okay at it. But you know how, oh man, there were these two guys. I wonder if Tron's out around this time. I can't remember when Tron came out, but there were two guys that in the mall, they ran the hobby shop. And they were like real quirky guys. Anyone know people that ran hobby shops in the 80s? They were kind of quirky. They were probably like artists more than businessmen, you know. And they would go in and they would set up at the Tron in Aladdin's Castle. And they had a flip chart that they had laminated and had in one of those coil binding things, the little plastic coils. And they had patterns for each screen mapped out like this. And they would just sit there and play for like an hour. And I could just go down there to the arcade and watch people play, not spend a dime, get just as much as enjoyment as playing the game sometimes by seeing some people that were really good at it. There's that Ken Houston guy again, mastering Miss PacMan. So Miss PacMan would have been out, which we all know now was a modification by some college students. And that's what's weird, because you see these compilations of PacMan that come out, and it gets very confusing because you don't see Miss PacMan in them a lot because there's a lot of licensing issues that go on. And now they've started calling Miss PacMan, like, I don't know what they call her, Lady PacMan or something like that. I don't know what they call her now, but it's not that because they want to not pay these guys. Oh my gosh, look at this. Board patterns. Anyone remember too when you start up, I guess there's a trick to it, but I never knew how. But you'd start up and the first screen would be purple instead, like this really cool purple color. And I guess it was a glitch. And then there was always a pattern I would take on, was it the first or the second boards? But I'd take a pattern and you'd always pass through one of the ghosts. So I think it was right over here. You'd go down and go around and you'd pass through the ghost because there were certain spots on the screen where you could actually pass right through a ghost. And I don't know if that was a feature or if it was a glitch. Joust was still strong. I mean, Williams was such a hit. Such a hit. I guess I haven't really looked through this magazine yet because I think I just like thumbed through it. I bought this years ago, but look at all this great, I mean, what a time. Video Heaven, where are you guys located? Michigan. Who went there, huh? Who remembers Video Heaven Inc. in Michigan? All orders shipped from stock. Oh, so they were a mail place, mailing. Which was, I mean, that's how people were getting games that you didn't see locally. You had to mail in for a lot of that stuff. Tutankhamun was pretty fun. All the games you played and forgot about. All right, home video game section. Okay, we're out of the arcades. Look at this. What's this one about? Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Would have been out in theaters, I believe, right? 83. So that meant they were making games. I have no idea what this game's about here. What's it for? I'm trying to scan through Atari. I mean, I thought this one was, well, I guess I don't know what it was. I guess I just don't know. Lock and Chase. You know, so many Pac-Man kind of clones over time. Jawbreaker. That's a favorite with some people. It's just, it's so much information to absorb. Like I said, if you want to freeze, you guys can. Hopefully I'm not blocking anything. The Journey. This must have been disappointing for anybody. Journey Escape, right? They could have probably made a couple of boards off of the video game. And I can't imagine this wasn't disappointing, but I don't think it's a horrible game. It's kind of a runner, I guess. I haven't played it in a while, so I'm trying to refresh my memory, but you know, Journey was huge back then. I mean, still, they're pretty popular. Fast Food, I think, was a very popular game at the time. And see, this is during the time when they're saying we're having a crash, and look at all these great games. Now, it wasn't the crash with the kids; it was the crash with the parents. I think there's some people that like this version too. This is the 2600 version. Perhaps the best thing is that it's real, honest to goodness. That it comes in a real, honest to goodness, sturdy box. That's the best thing he's got to say about it. It had great packaging. Yeah, look, Tron would have been out in the arcades, because here we go, Tron Deadly discs. They're talking about that. Which, again, another beloved game. Wizard of War, The Voice. You know, you started getting more and more voice games over the years. Just little creepy things, ... But I played that quite a bit. Eggomania. It's similar to Kaboom. What's it on? Game variation. Looks ridiculous. Level 1, All right, who's it for? I'm trying to see who this is for. I don't see. I have no idea who made this. U.S. Games. Well, I'll have to look it up. Maybe it's on the Atari. Yeah. See, I was going to say, as you flip in more, you get less color. But we got some more color coming up. I shouldn't flip the page right away so you guys can look at stuff a little better. This looks like a whole lot of technical crap. Venture Vision. Bermuda Triangle, yeah, I've got this. I haven't even played it yet. And the reason I got back into Atari 2600 games, actually, was because of the crazy price of everything during the pandemic. So I was like, I'm out of the other stuff for a while. You know, I'll pick up something if I get a really good deal on it. But, I mean, the prices have been crazy. So I was like, you know what? Everyone's selling Atari games for cheap. So I got to give this a try. It looks fun. I wonder if it's kind of just one of those standard shoot everything underneath the water. Circus Atari. Was this new at the time? I mean, Circus Atari feels like a very old game, a paddle game. And I pretty sure we had Circus Atari, and I played the hell out of it because, you know, there's only so many paddle games that were good. We had Night Driver. What other paddle games could we have had? I think that was that. Oh, okay. Super Breakout and Circus Atari, probably. Those are the ones we had. Maybe something else, but I don't remember it. Dragster, of course, by Activision. Is this the famous one where the guy claimed he had that crazy record on Dragster, and then they proved with the AI the computer can't even do it? What if it's possible that he got that time for real, but it was like some sort of glitch? I don't know. I always leave that one little bit of doubt, because we know these things could glitch all the time. But again, he was defamed for lying, but that wasn't the only lie or potential lie. So, you know, I'm not saying I don't believe him. I'm not saying I believe him that he got that, but I'm just saying it's not impossible to me. This looks pretty advanced. Riddle of the Sphinx. Again, is this for its iMagic? I'm guessing it's an Atari one. I know games are getting more complicated, which is funny. Games that got more complicated. Let's take E.T., which I've done a review for. I suggest you watch it. because E.T. is nowhere near as bad as the press it's gotten over the years because everyone jumping on the bandwagon because it's easy to make a video about something sucking, you know? That's so much easier. So I think a lot of the video game crash, to me, this is just personal opinion, I don't have any facts based off it, but I think it was the evolution also of games getting complicated and people just saying I'm out for a while until the new generation picked up, you know, just a few years later, and computers gaining favor. I mean, Apple, Commodore, TRS-80, Atari computers. That was a new wave at the time. And I think people were spending money on that. And if you spent money on a computer, you were spending a lot of money. That was a big budget. That was a big budget. So that's my theory on why the crash happened. And I mean, we were flooded with a bunch of crappy games. That didn't help either. Miss Pac-Man, look at that. When Atari Miss Pac-Man cartridge reached the stores last year. Jeez, it was already out the year prior in '82. Boy. I mean, that's what people wanted. They didn't want complicated. They want something they knew, and they want something to be like exactly what they knew. And Miss Pac-Man did that, unlike the original Pac-Man, which was rushed out again and had to be programmed very fast, I understand. But Miss Pac-Man was an amazing conversion. That felt like you were playing the arcade, even though, I mean, it's not exactly, as you know, like the arcade, but you had multiple screens, and it was just fantastic. The sounds were great. Everything looked better. There was color. It was more vibrant. Robot tank. Where it looks like we're getting... No, maybe not. Atari VCS still. The summary of it is just awesome. Robo-tank. Who knows this or who's played it? And is it that good? Oh, my coffee's cold now. But that's okay. We're halfway through. Yeah. We're not... If we're flipping through this and I see a D-pad, I'm going to be floored. I don't know when Nintendo made the D-pad. It was on the little handhelds they had, their Game & Watch, so... Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie. So many games I vaguely remember seeing or playing, you know, maybe emulating it once upon a time. Skiing. Yes. This we had. This we had. I used to do the mogul things. Blamp, 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 jumping over them. Joystick controllers. I mean, can you really write this much about skiing? I guess so. I mean, they did. It'll never replace the real thing, but it's an entertaining video game. And it was. Basic, but entertaining. It did what it needed to. And only what it needed to. And it did it right. And that's what people wanted. But we're talking about the crash. Yet, lots of good games were coming out. People just needed to know how to weed through the bad games. I never knew what Othello was. I think it's one of those things where you touch and you match and you flip all your colors over. So, tired of chasing your tail? Synapse. Here we go. I mean, look at this. Now, is this really... For the 5200, my parents used to play cards with some friends. I was like the youngest one in the family, so I'd get dragged along. And they had a 5200, which was fantastic. It looked incredible, but it did get boring after a while because, again, it was just, you know, arcade stuff. And I'm not saying that was boring, but I had done it all, played it all before in the real arcade. And Defender was not my favorite. Rip off. My only experience with a Vectrex is the app that they made for iOS, which had mostly knockoffs, but they're pretty fun, and it looked really good. But I can't imagine what it would have been like to be that kid that you could just grab that by the handle and bring it wherever you wanted, plug it in. You got your TV, your games, everything. Maybe you're not bringing in overlays and stuff, but yeah, Armor Attack. That's one of the ones that's on that. I think I gotta start moving you over here because we're flipping into the other side. Armor Attack. I mean, these games just looked great. I mean, you were playing. This was playing an arcade game, no doubt about it. What is this blaster? Give old games excitement. Adjustable speed, auto fire. Oh, so that's just for, okay. But look at these controllers. Multi-button. See, so that's like if someone wanted to play Defender the original way, or Joust, you'd get one of those controllers. Look at that. But these are pretty fancy back then. I mean, they still make things like this, like full-blown arcade sticks. What are we looking at for a price? Hey, the button console. So under 40 with shipping. Demon Attack, yeah. Game similar to Demon Attack. Well, that's nice. They would go through and let you know. Games similar to Demon Attack. Demon Attack by iMagic for the Intellivision. I would imagine that's, yes, similar to Demon Attack. The ones that are actually the same game. TRS-80 was definitely a king of knockoffs. So, not a lot of original games on there when they just kept making knockoffs. And I wonder, you know, there must have been some lawsuit that allowed them to win that, where people could just make knockoffs after a while. Intellivision 2, ugly console. I had a friend, I never had an Intellivision, but I had a friend whose father, they had an Intellivision. We played that quite a bit, but it was, some of the games were a little more complicated than we cared for, because his dad, you know, was interested in those kind of games instead of just basic fun games. So, Castle Wolfenstein. I'm sorry. How old is Castle Wolfenstein? If it's being advertised here, I'm guessing this is the year it came out. Most interactive game ever for Apple and Atari. Wow. Look at that. Full-blown ad for Castle Wolfenstein. Wavy Navy. Look at this face on the ship. I mean, come on. Another Apple game. But this magazine's pretty good. It covers it all. Creative Software. Another one of the probably long gone. Will you stay right there? Yeah, you can tell as you get into the more computer stuff, it gets more wordy. Weird with 2 E's. That's weird. But I mean, look how basic some are. And then this looks very colorful. But still, very, very basic. Here we go. Micro Pinball. Get out of here. What's going on here? Whatever I'm seeing here, I don't believe. Midnight Magic, Raster Blast. Okay, so they're talking about pinball scaled down for video games. Yeah. There's no such thing. It's pinball that small. Unless it's like a tree ornament. I mean, here, I actually have some. I can put it in my hand. Look at that. It's in my hand. You can actually pull the plunger, and it shoots the thing, but there's nothing. It's not gonna score. So Midnight Magic, that's on the Apple, it looks like. Night Mission. I've never heard of that one. Might be worth checking out, because I like pinball. Alright, what do we got here? Not a lot. Graphics of Donkey Kong. The graphics of Donkey King. Oh, this is Donkey King. Yeah, that was a good conversion. Alright. Donkey King, Doodlebug, Starfire, 3D Brickaway. Oh my god, I hate the 3D versions of Blockout. Or, is that it? Blockout? What am I thinking? Ooh, this is crooked. Let's get back into alignment here. That's a little better. Miner 49, yes, everywhere. Miner 49er. Everyone loved Miner 49er. I don't know why. I don't know why. Oh, so this was kind of a guide on how to play it. You start moving one way or the other. Oh, it's pretty neat that they've got these. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep this down well, but it's just sliding around. We're down to the last few pages. Maybe something amazing will show up in the end here. Looks like it's wrapping up. Not a lot of interesting stuff. I got cards here for ordering. Let me try and spread this out so you can see it. Some games, again, I've never heard of. The Timex Sinclair. I saw one of these at a Goodwill one time. It didn't have a power adapter. I'm like, what the crap is this? It's the Spectrum, essentially. Just with less games over here. I don't think they converted them. And I don't think you could play without having some special conversion stuff. I mean, the Spectrum was famous over in Europe. Hey, there's that joysticks. That's right, they were talking about those. Wicco. Those were very famous, right? Those are the, isn't that the type that was famous on, maybe I'm wrong. No, that's them. Yeah. Famous for not just Atari, but more like the Commodore 64. Was the Commodore 64 out yet? I didn't see anything about the Commodore 64. It must have been due to come out very soon. Yeah, I remember walking through the mall when I was living in that area. The other mall across the street, we had two malls. We had the Lewiston Mall and the Promenade Mall. And the Promenade Mall had Bradley's, Service Merchandise. Service Merchandise had an incredible run of video games and computers on display, where you could just go, you could hang out there for 2 hours. There was so much. There was probably 20 different systems. That looks a lot like the TRS-80 ones. Trackballs, you know. That's very... This looks like the controller from the Odyssey or something. Oh. These splitters. Well, some, you only have one port. I'm trying to see. I haven't been looking, but I should be looking through. See, they're not talking. TI, Apple, TRS-80. So I'm guessing the Commodore was probably just about to come out, which was, I would say, the most famous computer of its time. I could be wrong. Oh, wait, here we go, Commodore. Some things, oh my gosh. Oh, but they don't have them. They don't have them. I thought we might see a D-pad here. Pocket games. Well, you know what? This might be the reason these are here is they're clearly ripping off Nintendo. I've never seen these before. Playtime, huh? Inferno, Sky Invaders. This is a great page. Well, sure, right at the end. Something exciting. That is nice. Look at these. These are probably highly collectible and expensive now. Is there another page of it? There is. There we look at that. We've got a D-pad. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that. Here's the first D-pads. Now who's this? This doesn't look like Nintendo, but they got somewhat of a D-pad on there. On the top, Mario. I'm seeing if they mention anything. Sorry to say, Donkey Kong did not get rave reviews from our teenagers. But I mean, you know, this is the beginning. Well, okay. 83 is when it came out in Japan, so the D-pad must have been around for a short time before that. And for them to have decided this is the way to play games. But who is this? Diamond Hunt. And how did they get a D-pad early on? They just ripping it off before it was trademarked or patented. Right around this time, I would have been about to go into junior high school, so 6th grade to junior high. And I remember getting either one of those Timex watches. I traded some guy, he sold it to me for $5. And I think I used my lunch money. I was supposed to use for a couple days. And I didn't care because I wanted it. And it was one of those watches that you could play Space Invaders on. So if I was in class and I was bored, and I mean, Space Invaders is so basic. It worked on something the size of, you know, on your wrist. Wow, look at that. Turtles. Little mini joystick on there. Can't slip that in your pocket, though, with those. Can't do it. And that's it. That's it. Centipede. Wow. What a finish. What a finish. I did not expect that. I guess I've never looked through this. I think I bought it. I fanned through it. You know, I kind of did one of these. You know, like, oh, look at that. Oh, cool. You know, oh, this will be great. Tucked it away. You're looking at it for the first time with me. I never went page by page through this. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like it, you know, let me know. And we can look through some other magazines together. Plenty of Nintendo Power to look through, these retro magazines. But, you know, they were they screwed up. They weren't very good. They gave me PDFs of everything, so I read the PDFs and never opened those. So they're all sealed. And but if if anyone wants to see a retro, I'll open it up. I don't care. I'm not going to sell them. I mean, unless those are worth $10,000 for 12 issues. I can't remember what I got, if there's 12 there or not. But I had to fight for the last 2. They didn't ship them to me. I got one of them and then never got the final one. So that's how I felt about them. And then they started sending me stuff to re-up when they got their crap back together or something. I was like, no, not going to do it. But I've got those originals. They're worth more to me if anyone wants to see me walk through them. They're a bit smaller. So we can do that. So, hey, thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you next time. So long.